Evening, everyone. We are going to start in 2 minutes. Okay. Let others also join up to now. Okay, guys. So let's start with the session. So today we are going to learn about Node.js. That what is Node.js? So basically, first of all, let me share my screen. Okay. So here right now, let me close this folder and we will create a new folder for our Node.js setup. Okay. But before that, let me start with introduction with Node.js. That what is this Node.js? Up to now, see what we have covered. We have covered HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then the React part. Okay, all of these basically works for your front end part. But right now we are starting with Node.js and runtime environment where we can run JavaScript as a backend language. Okay, so that's why it is important because here with the help of Node.js, you can use the language JavaScript for your backend part also. We all are familiar that full stack domain is divided into two parts. First one is front end and another one is back end. The client side is known as front end, the server side is known as back end. So through Node.js, we can write the code for your server side. Means through Node.js, you can use JavaScript basically for your server side also. So why it is important to use JavaScript for it? Because see, as a front end part, you have learned JavaScript, right? So it will be good if the same language you are going to use in backend. This will increase your command on the language also, and it make easy things for you so that you can use the same language for your both front end and backend. So let's see. Node.js is a free open source tool that lets you run JavaScript on the web browser. In web browser means that you are telling them that at the server side, you can use this. Then with Node.js, you can build fast and scalable applications like web servers, APIs, tools, and more. APIs tool and web servers means that at the backend you are going to create application programming interfaces and different web servers using Node.js. Okay, then they are telling about this architecture that Node.js use event-driven non-blocking architecture. I will let you know that what is this event-driven. Yes, Node.
So your voice is breaking.
Okay, so just let me know. Just give me a second, okay? Okay, now if my voice will break, just let me know, okay, Noor or Rutuja. So now basically we are talking about the architecture. I will let you know that what is this event driven, what does it mean by non-blocking, and what is single thread. All of these things we are going to discuss in upcoming sections. Right now, they are just giving you an idea that what you are going to learn through this particular module. Up to now, this node event tool. Okay. Then you can see that they are showing us an example. Through this example, what is happening? I will let you know each and everything when we will just move to this part. For now, they are just written a code. For what they have write the code, they have used different functions over here like HTTP hypertext transfer protocol function which they are importing. Right now, what we have learned in React that we use import then the name of the part which we want to import from library. But there is another method to import something from the existing libraries. Okay, and this is known as common.js. When we use this require function, this method is known as common.js. But when we use import, like we using in React, that is known as ES module type. Okay, we'll let you know about that also when we come over that section. Then see what they are doing. They are using this HTTP, and inside HTTP there is a function which is create server. So as you are talking about backend part, so the main thing is to create a server so that you can get the output accordingly at that end. HTTP.create_server means use this HTTP module to create a server and which will take a function. This function has two parameters. First one is request and other one is response. Now, what does it mean by request and response object? Request mean as a client, you are providing them a URL at which you are having some request, and that will provide you a particular response. See, a function is there, a request object is there, a response object is there. So whatever request you are providing, you will get a response based on that particular request. Suppose if you are asking server to provide you the name of student whose roll number is this, so you will get a response from backend part where the database has stored all the output for you. So from there, you will get a particular response that is handled by this particular function. And then accordingly, you let them know that what type of response you want. There is a response status. 200 means okay status. 404 means error status. This type of status we have to send so that we can check that is the response coming from server side or not. Then there is content type. This content type let you know that which type of content is there. Is that a text content? Is that a media file like MP3, audio, or your video part? Okay. Then response dot end means if the connection is established, if the server is created, then just response end means end that response with a message hello world. So what will happen that when we access this network at a particular port, this dot listen is basically letting you know that at this particular port you will get your response, right? So when we will go just Chrome here, like here, if I tag localhost colon 8080 and will execute this bit of code, then what will happen that I will get a response hello world over there. How I get that? Because I am fulfilling their requirements that I am targeting a particular port number where my server is created. And as the server has created, so it will end that response with this particular message. So it will be right now it will be good that we can just have an idea about it, that how we can execute this bit of code. And all of these things we are going to learn in detail in this particular module sections. And you can see here are 4 modules also, where HTTP module is given, and we are going to see in deep that how to execute these particular functions. So today's session will be morely focused on theoretical part related to this, but still in between, if there will be any important code which we are not going to cover, I will try to execute that on VS Code. Okay, so let's first try to execute it and let us understand that how it is different from up to now what we are doing. Okay, so just open your VS Code, create a folder at your end. So I will just open a folder. I will create a new folder for Node.js and I will give it a name A11 Node.js. Okay, I've given this the name. Now I will create a sample file over here, suppose index.js. And what we will do in index.js, we are going to write this bit of code. See, I am just writing this bit of code over there. Sorry. Yeah, this bit of code over there. Just a second. Here it is. Okay. What it is doing? First of all, it is importing your HTTP module, then using a create server method so that you can access that server at a particular web browser and which will listen on a particular port, which is 8080. So you can also change this port number. Like I want it to be listened at suppose 9899. Okay. And when this server will be created and user will send a request on this particular server, what should happen? That this hello world will be there at the screen. So let's try to execute it first. So how to execute it? We have created the folder. Now to execute a Node.js file, we have to use node space index.js. Like this, you can execute this particular file. Up to now in React, how we were executing the file, npm run dev. But right now, how we can do that? We can use node space, then the file name. If I execute it, you can see that it is halted, means it is not providing me any output in the terminal. Why? Because you have created a server and that server is listening at a particular port which is 9899, correct? So what I have to do? I have to open my browser. From here, I have to go localhost colon 9899. If I click over here, can you see the output? Hello world is coming. Okay. So again, let me tell you that what is happening here, how the flow is going. Just a second. Okay. See what is happening. Like here you are importing the HTTP module so that you can use a create server. Now create server will basically take a function and this function have 2 objects in it, request and response. Request is basically what as a client you want from the server, and response is basically what server is providing you as the response. Okay. Then this is telling you that the connection is established. Okay, status we are getting and content type is this type. If the connection is established, then just responds us with hello world message. And where I will get the response? At this particular port. This 9899 is known as port number. So at this particular port, we will get the output. Now see what is happening. I have executed the file, but still we are not getting any output on the console. Why? Because there is no console.log command, you can say return. So where will I will get this response? Where the server is hosted. So it is hosted on 9899. So when I go to this particular localhost colon 9899 part, so you can see there we are getting this particular output. So that's how Node.js work. This is the basic difference. Up to now, what was happening? Everything we were getting through that terminal only, or otherwise at localhost 5173, which was by default created by our React part. Okay, so right now we have just navigated to this particular section at a particular port, which is given by us only, and then we are getting our output for it. So this is how server is created using Node.js. Okay, so this is the basic part of it. Now just make sure that you are also trying to execute this simultaneously with me. Okay, so is my voice coming properly, guys? Okay, okay. Yes, so this is what there is a basic example regarding this. Now if we go through next part over here, which is Node.js intro, then you can see that they are providing us that what you are going to learn. So how to install and run Node.js, we have already covered that how we are going to install it using, we have also installed it in a session. So I'm not going to repeat that. Core concepts like module and event loop. Module, what is module? How many types are there? Common JS, ES module that we are going to rectify. Then event loop in React, event driven architecture of Node.js. How this event loop is important. We are also going to discuss about that. Okay, so no worries. Then they are talking about different things also. So Node.js is a free open source JavaScript runtime that runs on Windows, Mac, Linux, and more. Means it can be run on Windows also, Mac also, Linux also, and other operating systems also. So there is no worry about that. It lets you execute JavaScript code outside a web browser. Now, what does it mean by outside a web browser? Means it can be run through this. You can run the code at the local system and at the server side. Outside the web browser means server side, enabling server side development with JavaScript. Okay. Then there is build on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine. Now, before letting you know about this V8 engine, can anyone have you the idea that why React was fast? I have tell that in the session also. Okay, okay, perfect, Noor. Yes. So just let me know that why React was fast. I have given you the idea about it, not DOM. This is incomplete. Try to add something. This is partially correct answer. Means something you have to also add in it. Okay. It was virtual DOM. There is difference between DOM and virtual DOM. Okay. Virtual DOM is basically the copy of your DOM and created in the memory. And what happens that as a user, if you are changing something in a web page, that copy basically compares that with the updated part and let you know that user has changed only this particular section. Okay. And that will be changed directly in DOM. So it makes that fast because you are not changing each and everything. You are not rendering each and every component on that web page. You are just seeing that where the changes after comparing with virtual DOM and then putting that change to the actual DOM. Okay. So virtual DOM is the correct answer. So that makes React fast. Now, what makes Node.js fast is your V8 engine. So what is this V8 engine? V8 engine basically convert right now here we are writing code in JavaScript format, correct? So that JavaScript code is converted into native machine code through this V8 engine, which makes that fast. So instead of interpreting it line by line, what happens that your JavaScript code is converted to machine code directly by this V8 engine. And that's make it fast, scalable for creating different applications also. Okay. So just remember both of them, that what makes React fast and what makes Node.js fast. Now, why to use Node.js? Node.js handles many simultaneously connections. like how it handles simultaneously connection is based on this particular architecture, which is single threaded event driven architecture. Single threaded event driven, I will let you know in deep that what does that mean. Through that it can handle simultaneously connections, and which is good for multitasking, right? Our system will not be set it to idle when there will be no work. We'll let you know how that things happens under the hood with minimal overhead, making it perfect for real-time applications like chats, gaming, collaborations, APIs, data streaming, command line tools, and server-side web development. Then there is asynchronous programming. Do you have an idea about synchronous and asynchronous programming, that how both of them are different? Just let me know. Then I will just give a simple example and it will be clear to you. Okay. So see, basically in synchronous, first of all, I am talking about synchronous programming. Then I will let you know what is asynchronous programming. In synchronous programming, what basically happens that if you have written 10 line of code, and suppose in first line you are reading a file, it is taking some time, and after the first line there is another line which is printing something, then so on up to 10th line. So in synchronous programming what happens that the execution of code is happened line by line. Means if at the first line there is something which is a task is there which is reading a file, so up to when the reading will be finished, the program will stuck over there at the first line. Okay, means it executes sequence by sequence, irrespective of the time that which is taken by a particular function. So if first line is written, it will execute first, then the command will be sent to the next line over there. Like this, the execution happens in sequential way. Okay, that is synchronous, sequential programming. Now, there is asynchronous programming. Also, we know known asynchronous programming as non-blocking. What happens in asynchronous programming is, suppose at the first line there is something, a task like which is taking some time. Means you are reading a file in that particular task. So while the you can say while the server is reading your file, it executes other parts over there in that code which can be handled immediately. Okay, like suppose this part I will tell you the asynchronous programming through this bit of code, then it will be more clear. So let's see. Node.js uses asynchronous programming. This means it keep working while waiting for tasks like reading files or talking to a database. Means if at first time you are encountered with a specific task which is having taking some time, like reading file or fetching some data from your database, so it will not pause the you can say execution over there. It will pass the execution to other code so that they can get completed up to when you are reading that particular file. So this is known as asynchronous programming. Now, if I let you know about this particular concept, then it will be clear to you. See, FS stand for file system. See, if you are talking about file system module, then it have many functions, inbuilt function in this particular module, where you can use like function like append content, writing content inside a file, read synchronously, read asynchronously, read file, okay, read file, write file. Different contents are there or functions are there in this file system module, which we are going to cover in this particular core module section. Okay, so see, first of all, you are using fs.read file, means you want to read a file. It will take some parameters from you. First of all, the file name you want to read. Okay, then this UTF-8. This UTF-8, all of you have the idea about it, that we are going to read character by character. This is saying that whatever is written in this particular file, you have to read them character by character. This is character encoding. Then there is a callback function. What it is doing, it will provide you the error if the file was not there. it will provide you the data if the file was there and you have read that file. So if error is there, console that particular error. Otherwise, return means console.log file content. Whatever the file content is there, the data is there, provide me that data from this myfile.txt. Okay. And again, there is another line, console.log reading file this first run. This runs first. Now, what is the basically need of asynchronous programming? See what happened first. Here you are reading it asynchronously. How asynchronously? Because the one who write the function read file, they write the code so that it can work asynchronously. Okay. So by default, this read file works asynchronously. What does that mean? Up to when this file is read by your system, like my file will take some microseconds to read this particular file. Your system will take some microseconds to read this file. Up to when what will happen? That this function will run in the backend part and the program will execute, like the pass will come from this line to this line. As you can see, console.log is a immediate, it will not take time to execute. Okay. And also it is not dependent on any other task. So first it will execute, then you will see the content of file. So this is known as asynchronous programming, that while other tasks are happening, taking place in backend, you can execute other functionality or other piece of code in your file. But if we talk about synchronous programming, if I add in this function sync also, like after read file, if I add sync, then it will become a synchronous program. What is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous? That without executing this particular file, it will not move the command to this line. If I talk about synchronous file, then what should happen? That first of all, this get read first. This file will be read first. And after the execution of this particular piece of code, it will execute next line then. So this is basically the difference between both the programmings. So let's try to execute this part, then it will be more clear to you. So if I select this and create a myfile.txt, so that we can read the content from there. Myfile.txt is there, and I am writing some content over there, like hello. Okay. So if you see this code, according to you, what should be the output? Like, if you don't know that read file works as a asynchronous function, according to you, the output will be, first of all, this file will be readed and the data will be there in the file. That console first means first of all, hello will be there. And after that, the console.log is there, means after that reading file will printed. But if we execute this, if I just do this node space index.js, can you see the content is not there at the first part? Here it is there. The definition is there that you have to execute it for the very first line. But why you are getting this as first? I have already told you the reason for it. Because this read file works asynchronously. It see that if the task is taking some time for your input operation, for your output operation, it basically runs this particular file in the back end. Okay. And pass the console or pass the command to other lines there in the particular code, and that will execute first. When this task will be completed, you will get the output of that task also. You can see here. But same thing I was talking about, that if I make it synchronous, by adding this sync, I have made that synchronous. Now see the change. Okay, wait. Wait, I have to use it correctly. Read file sync is there. And if I just change the content a bit, okay, and then it is handling synchronously. So that I want, wait. I want first this file to execute, and then the command will go to this particular section. Okay, so just trying to execute it. Let me clear the terminal. Now let me have it. So it is giving me this particular section. I guess I am using a wrong syntax for this read file synchronously. And we'll see over here that what is the correct way to doing that. Right now it is not mentioned there. So when we will learn about read file synchronous function, it is also a function which helps you to read the file synchronously. What happens with this function, that first of all this part will execute, then only you can pass the command to the next line. Okay, we'll check with it that what is the issue right now happening over here. My file.txt is there. Okay, we'll check with it. Okay. So now if we move to the next part, which is node get started, then they are showing us that how can you check the version. We have already seen these commands, that node space hyphen v or node space hyphen hyphen version, that tells you that what you have installed at your end. Then there is again the same example which you have already executed. Then command line interface means Node.js supports command line interface. If you want to execute any program, you can use this command line interface for that. And how to run a script using node space, then the file name. So if I'll ask you this question, can you answer me now? Drag and drop the correct command to run the Node.js file. Just if I have to run a Node.js file, then what command I have to use? Run, execute, start, or node? Just let me know in the chat box. Okay, perfect. Good, Noor, and good, Rutuja. Okay, Rutuja is asking that this set timeout and set interval also asynchronous. See, Rutuja, basically it depends that where they are declared. Okay, like if you have declaring them inside a synchronous functions, see, this set timeout basically run as a asynchronous part, because you are waiting up to then you are waiting. Other tasks of that particular code are handled by you, by your code. Okay, so that's why they work as an asynchronous function, because the time limit is defined. After that, they execute. Okay, so yes, and also sometimes it depends that where you are calling them. Like if I am creating a function asynchronously also, and then I am calling inside that asynchronous function, I am calling these things, then also they will behave like an asynchronous function. Okay. So yes, node is the correct answer. You have an idea about it, that how to execute it using node. Then Node.js requirements, like what you have, like what is something you have the idea about, so that you can continue with it. So as it use JavaScript, so you have the idea about JavaScript, like what is variable, functions, object, array, asynchronous programming, and ES6 features like map and other things. You have idea about all of these things, so I'm not wasting the time here, like what is let, constant, where, and what is function, what are modules. Okay, so let's come to this part, which is Node.js versus browser. What is browser? Your Chrome is browser. Microsoft Edge you used on your laptop is also a browser. So how they are different from each other, we are going to discuss about that. Okay, so see, first of all, this browser is like runs your JavaScript code on the web pages. Wait, on the web pages means up to now in React we were using JavaScript at browser only. Okay, means whatever we were writing as a code is rendered to our web page, and we were seeing that output on that particular web page. But Node.js basically we execute in system. Right now we have installed also this Node.js in our system, so that we can execute the proper file in our system. Node.js basically runs JavaScript outside the browser, mainly on servers. Okay, so this is the first basic difference. Then if basically I go through this particular section, you can see Node.js and browser both run JavaScript. This is the common thing, but the scope is different. They run the JavaScript at different environment. How different environment? One runs JavaScript at client side and one runs JavaScript at server side. So who runs JavaScript at server side? Node.js. Okay. Then access. Your browser has the access for your DOM, window, and different documents. But your Node.js has the access to your file systems, your networks, your HTTP modules, your different path systems, your OS modules. These are the accessible only with Node.js, not web browser. Okay. Then module system, you can see Node.js use common.js means require and ES module also. Node.js uses both type of module system, but browser only supports ES module. Okay. ES module means where we were using import React from React. That import keyword only is used in browser, not Node.js. Node.js means that you are using both type of modules. Then event loop, both environment use event loop, but Node.js has additional API for timers, processes, and others. Event loop means based on specific event, this event loop provide you different tasks, and accordingly that task will be called from callback loop and provide you some specific response. We will come to know about this event loop after the architecture for it. Like Node.js architecture is there, that what is request phase, what is response phase, in between that what happens. Okay, we are going to discuss about that also. So this is it. Mainly there are two, three, you can say difference. First of all, that browser makes web page interactive and Node.js is used for creating your APIs. First difference is this. Then the environment difference, that browser runs JavaScript in a browser, but Node.js runs JavaScript outside the browser at server side. What is accessible by your browser? DOM is accessible by your browser. Windows is accessible by your browser and document is accessible by your browser. But on the other hand, if we talk about file system, OS modules, if we talk about networks, then it is accessible only by your Node.js. Okay. So these are the main differences between your Node.js and browser. Then Node.js command line means we can use command line argument for accessing our features. So that is not important. Then there is V8 engine. I have already told you that what this V8 engine will do. Have a read. The V8 engine in Google open source JavaScript engine used by Chrome and Node.js. First of all, V8 engine is developed by Google open sources. Okay. And why we use it? So that we can convert our JavaScript to the machine native code. It compiles the JavaScript to native machine code for fast execution. Okay. As computer understand the machine language. So if you are converting JavaScript code to the machine understandable code, then it makes the execution fast. Okay. Origin developed by Google Chrome in 2008. Node.js uses V8 engine to provide JavaScript runtime on the server. Features like just-in-time compilations, efficient garbage collection, and other things. Okay. So this is V8 engine. Now there is this important architecture which you have to understand so that you can have an idea that how this Node.js works. Okay, so we are going to discuss about Node.js architecture, sorry, very important part of Node.js. Okay, this is very important that you get the idea about this single threaded event driven architecture. Node.js uses single threaded event driven architecture. I will let you know that what it is. Just make sure that you have reminded this thing, that Node.js use single thread event driven architecture. Okay. Now, first of all, I will let you know, up to now, is it clear that we are talking about very basic things right now? But it is also important because we have to clear with the concept of Node.js theory part also, because from here also our questions are asked like how Node.js is fast, what is V8 engine, that it compiles your JavaScript into machine native code. That's why it make it more fast. Okay. Then another question is how it is different from browser, that it execute your JavaScript at server side. Okay. Then another question is regarding this architecture also, that how what type of architecture Node.js uses. So it uses single threaded event driven architecture. Now, what does it mean by single threaded and what is multi-thread? So let me tell you first about single thread. Single threaded means that you are performing one task at a time. Very easy. Threaded means you are performing one task at a time. Okay. If that task will be completed, then only you can jump to the another task. On the other hand, what is multitasking? Multitasking means you are working on different tasks simultaneously. Means task A, task B, task C, task D are there. Then on multi-threading system, you are working on each of them simultaneously. Okay. But in a single threaded system, you work one by one on a particular task. First of all, task one will be assigned. When it get completed, then we will move to task two. When it get completed, we will move to task three. But your Node.js is basically using this single threaded also with event driven architecture. Now, what does it mean by event driven architecture? Event driven means that the work means this single thread means you have to complete one specific task. But while completing that particular task, if there is a situation when your system is ideal, means that is not performing any task, then you can just use this event driven architecture for it. Okay. Means at that time what happened, that the system will not set it to idle part. It can use event loop to see that what are different phase tasks on which I can work. So that is handled by your event driven architecture. If I give you a real time example for it, so I can give you a restaurant example for it. Like imagine a chef, okay? Like a chef, we are first of all taking it for single thread. You have ordered some food and they are like only one chef is there. So what it will do, if you have ordered pizza, pasta and burger at the same time, so first he will try to complete first task like creating pizza. Pizza is done, then it will move to another task which is your suppose burger. Then burger will get completed, then it move to pasta. Okay, then one by one the single person has completed all the tasks. This is known as single threaded. But suppose if we are using event driven architecture, then what does that mean? That while you are creating pasta, and suppose there is a time lapse where you have to just bake that pasta for 10 minutes. Okay, means the gas is on and you have to left that particular task for 10 minutes. Then in that case, this event driven will not let you free. It will provide you an event that in that specific 10 minutes time, you can do this task also. So that is known as single threaded event driven architecture for Node.js. Like it not make you to sit for that 10 minutes. It provide you some task on that 10-minute also so that you can handle multiple tasks simultaneously. And that's why it make Node.js asynchronous, behave like asynchronous. Okay. So just a second. Okay. So this is it, like single threaded and event driven means that you can perform, like first of all, one task will be assigned to your main thread, but in background through this event driven architecture, you can assign the complex task in the background thread. Okay. And that will get converted, completed, and the through callback, you can just access those tasks. So it will be more clear to you that how these things are happening when we just cover this phases, all the phases of Node.js architecture. See what is happening. Client request phase means, first of all, as you want some response from the back end. So first of all, as a client, you have to share some request. Okay. So client send request to Node.js server. What is happening? That as a client, you have shared some request to your Node.js server. Each request is added to the event queue. Like there will be multiple requests at a same time. So what will happen? There is a event queue which will take all the requests. Okay. Like at the same time, if there will be multiple requests, event queue have all the requests stored in that. Now there is event loop. See what that event loop will do. That event loop continuously check your event queue. What happened? That in event queue, all the requests are there. This event loop will one by one check for the event queue and pick any one request based on its priority and pass that. Picks up the request one by one in a loop. Okay. Then request processing. As right now in event queue, the requests are there. Through event loop, you have suppose pick first request and passed it. Now that request is in processing phase. Now in processing phase, two things is checked. First of all, that request is checked, that that request is a simple request. If that request is a simple request, then the output is sent immediately by the main thread. See what is happening? You are using single thread, right? Single thread means first requested assigned. It will check that is that request is simple request, means it will not take much time. So if that request is simple request, then the response for it will be shared immediately. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen? That complex blocking tasks are offboarded to the thread pool. See what will happen? That if some request is there, which according to you will take some time, which according to the system will take some time. So they push that request to the thread pool. Now, what happen in thread pool is basically while running your JavaScript code, that is handled by your main thread. But there, that doesn't mean that there are not multiple thread also in that system. There are also multiple thread in that system. That thread pool basically handle that complex request. Okay. And when these complex request will be, you can say, completed, you can get the output for it also. Now see in response phase, what will happen when blocking task completed? From here, the blocking task in thread pool. Okay, when blocking task completed, their callbacks are placed in callback queue. There is this callback queue. What happens there? That those tasks which is not immediately resolved, they come to this callback queue, and one by one event loop again processes this callbacks queue and see that which task is completed so that you can get the output for it. Now see in simple terms what is happening. As a client, you are sharing some request. Okay. Multiple requests can be shared at the same time. Correct? Now what will happen? That if that request will be stored in your event queue. Okay. Event queue have all the requests one by one. From event queue, we parse this request through event loop. Okay. Event loop just pick any one request and it pass to the you can say server. Okay. Then it will be checked that is it a simple request or is it a complex request? Is that request, if that request is simple request, then what will happen? You will get the response directly. But if that request is not simple, then what will happen? That request, that complex request will be shared to the callback queue, where it will take some time to get completed. And from there, your event loop will pick that completed task and provide you the output for it. Okay. Is it clear that what is happening? Okay, like creating a diagram of node architecture so that it will be more easy to understood. Yes, we can also do that. Just a second. I have to use Excalibur for it. Just a second. Have to undo all these things. Wait. See what is happening right now. There is first of all your request phase. Means as a client, you are doing any request. Wait, I am unable to write. Here I can write something. Just a second now. I'm not. Just a second. Why this is not working? Yes, it is working. Just the font size is very small. Okay. Wait, I have to set the font size to large. Now if I write something, I can write it to you. Yes, to request phase first of all. So it is not visible, I guess. Here it is coming. Wait, let me just change the color for it also. Just a second. And then the text part where we can change the color. Wait, I guess it is clear with that because I have no practice for it. So it is taking time. Okay, see, right now just keep that in your fingertips. Like first of all, request phase is there. Through request phase, what will happen? That you are going to request something. Then after request phase, that request will be stored in your event queue, correct? In event queue, all the requests are there. Now what will happen? That there is a event loop. Event loop will take one by one those requests from your event queue and pass it for the processing phase. In processing phase, what will happen? It will check that is that a simple request or is that a complex request. If that is a simple request, then you will get the output immediately or you will get the response immediately from your server. But if that is a complex request, then what will happen? That it share that to callback queue where it will execute it first. When that will be completed, then your event loop will go there and fetch the completed output from there and assign that to the server so that it can share as the response to the client. Okay, so this is basically the main output for it, that how it works, the main architecture for it. Now, non-blocking example, non-blocking means asynchronous. Now you can see that how this is executing. Now it will be more clear to you that how asynchronous programming is working. See what will happen. As you know that reading file will take some time. So the main thread has pushed it to the callback queue. Up to then what will happen? You will assign this particular task and complete this particular task immediately. When this will get completed, your event loop will process this response at your end. So that's how it is working. Okay. Now see here also they have used fs.read file sync. This sync means synchronously. If you want to execute something synchronously, that you have to use sync. If you want to that file to be executed asynchronously, then you can use read file only. Okay, clear? Key benefit: handles many concurrent correction effectively. Great for input output bounded application. Why this is great for input output bounded application? If something is taking time for input or output processing, then at that particular time, it can handle multiple requests over there. Okay. Uses JavaScript on both client and server side, and large ecosystem for packages like NPM Node Package Manager. And if you take an example of your day-to-day life, then in asynchronous programming, what will happen? That there is one person who is washing their clothes, okay, and they have set it the timer in the washing machine, and at the same time they have to cook the food also. So suppose you have started the timer and you know that in 30 minutes a buzzer will be there and I will come to know that okay, my clothes are washed. So one person can do that. In that 30 minutes they can go to kitchen as they have to cook the food, so they can chop the vegetables. But at the same time, different person can do one thing, that they will first wait that for 30 seconds, that is the machine has done its work, then they will go to kitchen and then they will start chopping their vegetable. So which one is the better way, where in that 30 minutes you are also washing your clothes and also you are chopping your clothes, chopping your vegetables. Okay, so that is known as asynchronous programming, where you are parallelly executing both of them. In backend system, your work machine is working, and simultaneously you are also cooking the food. But if we talk about synchronous programming, then first of all the machine work will be done, then only you can go to kitchen and then only you can cook the food. So you can see how asynchronous programming is time saving, and also you can get the response immediately for that. Okay, now Node.js is built on DES architecture. Just let me know in the chat box that what is the correct output for it. Node.js is built on DES architecture. What is the architecture for Node.js? Just let me know in the chat box. Okay, I hope that, yes, single thread, event driven, single threaded, event driven. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so according to you, Node.js is synchronous or asynchronous? Okay, Rutuja is saying asynchronous, asynchronous. Perfect. That's great. Yes. But see, there is one thing which is a bit confusing for students. Like here you are using single threaded. Single threaded means that first one task will be completed and then other task will be completed. So how it is asynchronous? You have to just understand this bit of logic. This single threaded means that only for JavaScript part, like only for this JavaScript part, what you are doing, you are giving that task to your main thread. But that doesn't mean that there are not multiple threads in your system. Okay, just for JavaScript logics, just for JavaScript part, they are assigning a main thread. But there are also multiple threads in your system. Okay, so through this event driven, what should happen? That the complex tasks are handled by those multiple you can say threads, and accordingly you can get the output. So that's why it is asynchronous. Okay, just make sure that you have got this particular thing. Now there is event loop. Now you have the idea of event loop also, that through event loop you can just pick one by one, like what are the characters of event loop. First of all, it will check your event queue, take a request from there and pass it for the processing phase. Also, it checks the callback queue. How it checks the callback queue? It checks that is the task completed, and if the task is completed, then it shares that response to the user part also. So this is it. Then there is asynchronous versus asynchronous programming. That what is asynchronous programming? What is the other name of asynchronous programming? Let me know. What is the other name of asynchronous programming? Is it blocking or non-blocking? Non-block for Rutuja. Yes, perfect. It is non-blocking. Non-blocking means that the program is not blocked at a particular line of code. It can handle those tasks at the backend also by other threads. Okay, so yes, the answer is correct. Good work. Now, before moving further, let me just assign you the project for this week. Okay, so just give me 2 minutes. Let me uh, open that particular file and then I will let you know. So this week you have to just create, wait, let me open it. You part is there. There it is. KIML full stack. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. Just a second, let me. Yes. Yes, so list of project based on React. Okay, and after second week of compilation. Now see, here they have used the tech stack highlight that you have to use React, you have to use Node.js, you have to use MongoDB, but you don't have to use any one of them. Okay, if you have to just use React over here. You don't have to focus on different tech stack written over there, as we have learned up to React right now. So we are going to continue with React only. So your week 2 project will be based on pure React. You have to create a good front end part for it. CRM dashboard, project management tool, video conference app, e-commerce admin panel, learning management, online code compiler, job portal, finance management, health tracker. Okay. And up to this 30 functions, you can say 30 files are there. So I am also sharing this with you. Just make sure that both of you will take one project from it and complete it up to Monday so that I can take the presentation on Monday. Okay. So just try to complete it up to Monday. I am sharing this with you in your group. Just have a check. Okay. So yeah, this is it. Now we can continue with our part, which is asynchronous programming. I have shared the PDF in your group. Okay. Just pick any one project out of those 30 and try to create that. Now, key difference between synchronous and asynchronous. Now you have also the idea about it. Still, if you want, you can have a read. Blocks execution until completed, simple to understand, as it is in sequential manner. You have to, if you have to guess the output, then you can guess that first this will get printed, then this will get printed, and after that this will get printed. But it is a bit different while we are comparing with asynchronous programming. Why? Because see, you don't have the idea that which file will execute first. Okay, so that's why it is more difficult to predict output in this scenario. Can cause delays. Yes, for sure. If the big file is there, then your thread is stuck on that particular task, which will use it uses read file synchronously function to read that file. Now for asynchronous programming, non-blocking execution, better performance, more complex to handle, use callbacks, promises, or async await. Synchronous file read. This is how you can use file synchronously. Like you can see, first of all, this will get printed, then it will take some time while this file will be get readed, then this execute, and after that this will execute. So we can also try this on VS Code and let's check. Well, yeah, we can check it. Wait, here it is. On VS Code, we are just pasting it and just trying to execute it. My file.txt is already there. Let's see what we are getting. Started synchronous reading. Okay. Then you can see, first of all, this is executed, correct? This is executed first, file content hello bunch, and then done reading file. Yeah, what was the error while I was making that read file function synchronous? I was using callback over there, but that was not correct. Why that was not correct? Why was that was not correct? Because there I was using another method which was callback. Right now they are not using it so that it can handle asynchronously, synchronously. Only we have to use React. Yes, while creating the web page, you only have to use up to React. Like you have to use CSS also, JavaScript also in React you are going to use. So only front end part you have to create. Okay. So don't need to use Node.js or from there any backend integration part. You just simply have to create a Node.js, sorry, a React project using other CSS styling, etc. And make sure that you try to host it on Vercel or Netlify or Render. Okay. It will be very easy. Just also try to deploy it. And I have already tell you that there is a file in your group. Okay. According to that file, you have to create for each week. Okay. I will see that file also. So uh, try to also create that particular file. I hope that you got the idea that which file I am talking about. I have already shared that in that group, 55 pages. Like I have not shared it, ma'am has shared it. There is different things like what you have used in that text tag that you have to use. You can use Netlify, you can use Vercel, Netlify, anyone, whatever you want, or Render. These are basically main platform where you can deploy your projects. So just go through any one of them and they are very easy. Like you can, if you are going to log in through GitHub on that, they will show you all the repository of yours and will ask you to select any one of them. If you are going to select any one of them, it will start the automated part at their end and try to deploy them. Okay. So very easy. Just go through a YouTube video for that and you can try to deploy it. Okay. Mhm. Now let's talk about asynchronous file read. Now what is happening in asynchronous file read? First of all, if you know that this is a synchronous part, then it will be halted, means it will run in backend. First, this will run starting asynchronous reading, then done starting the read operation, and after that, this data will be printed. So same thing they are saying that output order will be 1, 3, and 2. Doesn't wait for the file to read completely. Okay, clear? Then there is this callback hell, nested callback in JavaScript. This is earlier way to write their code. Why? Because this is not readable. Like as a user, you can't read this code that what they are trying to say. Suppose if four function are there, then you will get lost that what is written over here. If error will be there, handle that error. If get orders is there, it will access your user ID, then accordingly provide some ender. So we will use promises in case of that. Promises is a better version to write your callback health. Here you will use dot then and dot catch. If you have to, it will take three phases. First of all, the acceptance phase, pending phase, or reject phase. Means as a promise, you can provide three things to us. You can resolve that promise, you can reject that promise, you can have in pending process. Means you are trying to execute that process. Okay. So this will, this is not like you can try to have some idea about it at your end. Basically, we are going to cover this module part over here because this is quite lengthy, you can say, modules. Like here, if I scroll down, so you can see there are multiple codes over here which we have to execute and then go through with them. Like what is this parse URL path name, how to fetch the query, how to get the data over there. It is quite interesting things that when we are going to cover these things, it will give you more idea about other things. We are going to cover file system module also. In file system modules, you can see there are different file operations like how to create or read a file, how to delete them, how to rename them. We are going to see the code part of them also. Then the directory part is also there. You can see reading files is there. Then path module, how to add path. These all things we are going to cover after this particular section will be covered. Like what is Node.js modules. From here we are going to start. So up to now, is there any doubt which you want to ask? Is it clear that what we have covered in today's session? If yes, then I will ask some questions regarding today's session. You have to answer them. Okay. Okay. So first of all, my question will be up to what we have learned in these internship programs. So I can ask from React also. Just let me know that how many arguments we use in use effect hook. In use effect hook, how many arguments we use? Name them also. Two, function and dependency array. Okay, correct, Rutuja. Yes. And which one is optional? Two arguments, function and dependency array. Perfect, Noor. Just let me know which one of them is optional. Dependency array. Okay, perfect. Yes, correct. Both of you are correct. Now, just let me know that why we were using use context hook. Why we were using use context hook. Yes. Okay, perfect. Now, another question is, uh, let me see what can I ask. Okay, so what is the thing which makes React fast? What is the thing which make React fast? Okay, perfect. And what is the thing which make Node.js fast? V8 engine, correct, correct. How V8 engine make it fast? Like what is the role of V8 engine? Run JS outside the browser? No, that is Node.js. Okay, I will let you know once I will see the answer for Node also. V8 engine we were using basically for converting our JavaScript code to machine native code. Okay, so that machine can directly understand that code. Got it? Okay, yes. So these are some important questions which may ask. Okay, yeah. So perfect. I see that you have. Yeah, good. Yes, so this is good that you have also revising the previous concepts so that you have an idea about them also. Just try to go through these concepts like up to today, whatever theoretical part we have done. Yeah, again, which type of architecture Node.js was using? Single-threaded, event-driven architecture, right? And what were the phases over there? First of all, request phase was there. Then there was Re from request, we were accessing that request in event queue. Yes. Okay, perfect. What was happening in event queue? Just let me know about that. Through event in event queue, what was happening? One by one request actually through event queue. Yes, perfect. So in event queue, all of our requests were there. And from there, event loop was taking the request. Events are in queues and event loop assign events from that queue. Perfect. Okay, so that's it for today's session, guys. Great work at your both of your end. So if there is no doubt, then we are just good to wrap the session. Thank you so much for joining. And we are going to connect on Monday now, as there will be off for Saturday and Sunday. Please complete your project and you have to present that on Monday. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, both of you.